Louisiana is a state of ghosts, jazz, and secrets. But the biggest secret isn't buried in a New Orleans crypt or hidden in the bayou. It is the sheer, quiet magnitude of black wealth that has existed here for centuries. We aren't just talking about entertainers who bought mansions. We are talking about pioneers who owned land before the Civil War, mid-century corporate titans, and modern billionaires who turned the projects into trust funds. This is the countdown of the richest black men in Louisiana. Number 7. The Cazelar Dynasty, the ancestral blueprint. To truly understand the staggering modern wealth flowing through the veins of Louisiana, you must first recognize a fundamental truth. Black affluence in this state is not a new, sudden phenomenon. It is an ancestral inheritance, forged in the fires of extreme adversity. Long before the Civil Rights Movement, and even before the Civil War erupted, brilliant families of color were executing highly sophisticated wealth preservation strategies in the face of brutal, systemic legal restrictions. The Cazelar family stands as the ultimate historical blueprint for this kind of multi-generational financial defense. The patriarch of this dynasty, Pierre Cazelar, was born in 1764 in the bustling, complex society of New Orleans. He formed a lifelong partnership with Charlotte Wiltz, a highly resilient free woman of color, and together they meticulously built a quiet but massive economic empire. Cazelar was not just a minor participant in the local economy. He was a legitimate titan of infrastructure and commerce. He owned a sprawling, highly productive plantation in Algiers, situated roughly 3 miles downriver of the French Quarter. This was not a modest plot of land. The estate included a large primary residence, a fully functional mill, a private bridge, and numerous secondary buildings that powered their agricultural operations. Furthermore, he held several highly valuable prime properties directly inside the heart of the French Quarter. But in a society actively and legally hostile to the concept of black wealth, accumulating assets was only half the battle. The true genius of the Cazelar family lay in their masterful, fiercely subversive wealth preservation tactics. Jean-Pierre Cazelar and Charlotte Wiltz shared 5 children, including a son named Jean-Pierre Cazelar Jr., who was born in 1800. His baptismal record is an incredibly significant historical document, as it stands as the very first instance in New Orleans of a white father being officially recorded as the parent of a free child of color. When the elder Cazelar prepared his estate planning and wrote his wills, first in 1797 and again in 1829, he faced a draconian legal system purposefully designed to strip his mixed-race children of their rightful inheritance. To aggressively bypass these oppressive inheritance laws, the family orchestrated a brilliant, legally bulletproof maneuver. After his passing, the family organized complex, highly orchestrated auctions and sales of the former estate, officially allowing the children to buy the property back. They effectively laundered their own inheritance to keep it out of the greedy hands of the state. This incredible legal shield worked flawlessly. Because of this uncompromising determination to protect their assets at all costs, the Cazelars successfully maintained their elite financial status and properties, such as the estate at 813 St. Anne Street, long after the Civil War had ended. They proved that wealth in Louisiana requires not just earning power, but an ironclad, unapologetic defensive strategy. Number 6. Lefon, the first millionaire. If the Cazelar family successfully laid the defensive groundwork for generational wealth preservation, Lefon took the offensive and scaled it to unprecedented, record-breaking heights. In the 19th century, achieving millionaire status was an astronomical feat for any American citizen, let alone a man of color. To achieve such massive financial dominance as a black man born into poverty in the antebellum South requires a level of economic genius and foresight that borders on the supernatural. Lefon was born in 1810 in Louisiana, the son of a mother of Haitian descent and a French father. Lefon began his life with absolutely no systemic advantages, no inheritance, and no safety net. He had very little formal education to rely on. But Lefon understood a profound truth early on. True education in the world of commerce does not come from a classroom. It comes from understanding the fundamental mechanics of supply, demand, and compound leverage. He relentlessly educated himself, consuming knowledge about markets and finance. He began his entrepreneurial journey with a humble, labor-intensive hustle, working tirelessly as a cake maker to scrape together his initial capital. However, Lefon recognized early on that laboring for daily wages would never result in institutional power or true freedom. To rule the city, you had to own the dirt it was built on. With calculated precision and extreme patience, Lefon transitioned his modest culinary earnings directly into the booming New Orleans real estate market. He began aggressively acquiring properties, flipping undervalued land, and strategically cornering vital sections of the city's real estate ecosystem. He completely transformed himself from a street-level merchant into a towering, untouchable real estate mogul. By acquiring hard assets and holding them through periods of intense economic volatility, Lefon achieved something historically monumental. He became the very first black man to be officially recognized as a millionaire in America. But Lefon's vast, staggering fortune was never simply a vanity metric used to flaunt his superiority. It was a precise tool for societal engineering and community uplift. He utilized his unprecedented capital to quietly fund the infrastructure of the black community in New Orleans. His wealth built much-needed schools, funded orphanages, and supported vital institutions that the local government actively neglected or attempted to destroy. Tommy Lefon's legacy is the ultimate masterclass in asset allocation and philanthropic leverage. He recognized that while cash can be quickly spent and businesses can fail, land is finite. By capturing the real estate of Louisiana, he cemented his power in stone and mortar, creating a flawless blueprint for every real estate tycoon that would follow in his footsteps. Number 5. Samuel B. Fuller, the mid-century corporate titan. While the 19th century belonged exclusively to the real estate barons, the 20th century gave rise to a new kind of power, the corporate conglomerate. And in the 1950s, the undisputed king of black corporate America was a man who started his journey in the suffocating, inescapable poverty of Ouachita Parish. Samuel B. Fuller is the absolute, undeniable definition of black entrepreneurship. Born on June 4, 1905, in Monroe, Louisiana, to struggling sharecropper parents, Fuller's early life was defined by extreme, daily deprivation. Fuller's unparalleled entrepreneurial instincts were forged in absolute fire. By the young age of 9, he was already walking door to door, selling various products just to survive and bring pennies back to his family. He was a 6th-grade dropout who was tragically forced to relocate to Nashville and later to Chicago after the sudden death of his mother left him with the monumental responsibility of raising and providing for his 6 younger siblings. After working grueling menial jobs and briefly serving as an insurance agent at the black-owned Commonwealth Burial Association, Fuller made a calculated decision that would completely alter the course of American economic history. Operating on the timeless foundational business axiom of find a need and fill it, Fuller confidently secured a meager $25 loan in 1935, putting everything on the line by using his personal car as collateral. He immediately launched his own business, buying and selling soap door-to-door to a community desperate for quality goods. His interpersonal sales techniques were so aggressively effective that he quickly generated a $1,000 profit. Instead of inflating his lifestyle, he immediately reinvested every single dollar back into expanding his company. Fuller Products soon offered a premium line of 30 cosmetics items, and eventually, the business scaled so massively that he began manufacturing his own nationally known allied products, cutting out the middlemen entirely. By 1963, the sheer scale of his corporate empire was staggering to comprehend. Fuller Products commanded an elite, highly trained army of over 3,000 sales representatives operating across 38 different states. He didn't just sell soap. He sat at the head of a holding company that controlled 8 separate corporations. His vast assets included a major department store in Chicago, a highly lucrative real estate trust based in New York, expansive farming and cattle interests, and the powerful courier chain of newspapers serving black audiences in major metropolitan cities like Chicago, New York, and Detroit. By the 1950s, Samuel B. Fuller was generating a colossal $18 million in annual sales, making him unequivocally the wealthiest African-American of his entire era. He bravely weathered racist boycotts organized by white groups who discovered his race, and he battled fierce, exhausting legal accusations, continuously urging the Black community to save their capital and relentlessly own their own businesses. He passed away in 1988, leaving behind a legacy of absolute, uncompromising corporate dominance that proved Louisiana natives could conquer the entire country. Number 4. Brian "Birdman" Williams, the architect of cash money. As we transition from the mid-century corporate boardrooms to the hyper-competitive modern era of entertainment, the specific tactics evolve, but the core strategy remains completely identical. Control the product, own the distribution, and never compromise your leverage. Few men in the entire history of the global music business understand this better than Brian Christopher Williams, universally known and feared as Birdman. Birdman's incredible story is a modern masterclass in building an impenetrable financial fortress entirely from the ground up. Emerging from the notoriously dangerous Magnolia projects of New Orleans, Birdman and his brother Ronald "Slim" Williams looked at the predatory, exploitative landscape of the 1990s music industry and completely rejected the traditional corporate blueprint. While other immensely talented artists were eagerly signing their lives and their publishing away to major record labels in exchange for flashy sports cars and terrible high-interest advance checks, Birdman played the long, quiet, ruthlessly intelligent game of absolute ownership. He founded Cash Money Records, and his journey is a breathtaking testament to raw, unyielding business acumen. In 1998, Birdman orchestrated one of the most legendary, universally studied negotiations in the history of hip-hop. He walked into the executive offices of Universal Records and successfully secured an unprecedented $30 million distribution deal. But the upfront cash wasn't the real victory. The true victory, the one that guaranteed his status as a centimillionaire, was hidden in the fine print. Cash Money retained 100% ownership of their master recordings and kept an unheard-of 85% of their royalties, merely paying Universal a 15% distribution fee. Birdman essentially forced a global multi-billion-dollar conglomerate to work for him as a delivery service. This structural, mathematical leverage allowed Cash Money to easily weather catastrophic industry shifts and devastating personal losses, including the profound physical and financial destruction brought to New Orleans by Hurricane Katrina. While other legacy labels folded under the intense pressure of the digital streaming revolution, Birdman's equity allowed him to aggressively pivot, adapt, and scale his operations. He wasn't just managing rappers. He was operating a wildly profitable, globally recognized intellectual property factory. His story and the sheer, unmatched longevity of Cash Money Records brilliantly highlights how deep, authentic passion, when combined with a ruthless understanding of contract law, can translate into substantial, multi-generational financial success. Birdman took the raw hustle of the New Orleans streets and weaponized it against corporate America, creating a flawless blueprint for financial independence that every single modern artist now desperately tries to follow. Number 3. Dwayne Lil Wayne Carter, the prodigy turned mogul. If Birdman was the visionary, calculating architect who physically built the Cash Money factory, Dwayne Lil Wayne Carter was the undeniable once-in-a-generation superstar who powered its global dominance and scaled it to the stratosphere. Emerging from the exact same fertile, culturally rich ground of New Orleans as his mentor Birdman, Lil Wayne's ascent to staggering wealth is a narrative that continues to deeply inspire entrepreneurs across the globe. But to view Lil Wayne merely as an artist or an entertainer is to deeply misunderstand his financial trajectory and his profound business intelligence. Lil Wayne is widely recognized by critics and peers alike as one of the absolute greatest rappers of his generation. He was signed to Cash Money at the incredibly young age of 12, thrust into a high-pressure, incredibly demanding environment where child prodigies are usually chewed up, burnt out, and spat out by the time they reach early adulthood. Instead, Wayne adapted to the pressure, evolved his craft, and completely took over the global music industry. His relentless, almost obsessive work ethic resulted in tens of millions of records sold worldwide. But the true explosion of his personal wealth occurred when he mathematically realized he had completely outgrown the role of an employee and forcefully demanded his rightful position as an executive boss. Lil Wayne capitalized on his massive, undeniable cultural leverage to found his own imprint, Young Money Entertainment. This wasn't just a vanity label meant to stroke his ego. It was a highly strategic, incredibly lucrative talent incubator. By discovering, aggressively signing, and developing generational megastars like Drake and Nicki Minaj, Lil Wayne transformed himself from a solo revenue generator into a highly diversified portfolio manager. Every single time Drake sold out a stadium in Europe, or Nicki Minaj broke a streaming record on a new platform, a massive percentage of that capital flowed directly back into Lil Wayne's bank accounts. He had successfully, brilliantly duplicated his earning power without having to step into a recording booth. His highly lucrative deals and ventures extended far beyond the recording studio. He branched out into sports agency ventures, lucrative fashion lines, and massive brand partnerships, consistently proving that his influence was not restricted to a single demographic or medium. Lil Wayne's financial journey underscores a remarkable, turbulent trajectory. He survived the notoriously treacherous child star phase, navigated vicious, highly publicized internal legal battles to secure his unpaid royalties, and emerged on the other side with his capital and his immensely valuable intellectual property completely intact. He is a walking billion-dollar brand, a New Orleans native who proved that lyrical genius, when paired with strategic talent acquisition, creates an impenetrable financial moat that no competitor can cross. Number 2. Percy Master P. Miller, the master of ownership. Before the cash money empire dominated the charts, there was another New Orleans titan who completely rewrote the rules of wealth accumulation in the entertainment industry, operating with the precision of a Fortune 500 CEO. The Miller family, led by the visionary patriarch Percy Master P. Miller, is a dynasty that operates on an entirely different plane of financial intelligence and asset control. Master P's origin story is the stuff of absolute, undeniable legend in the business world. He proved to the entire world that a black family rising from the brutal, unforgiving conditions of the Calliope projects in New Orleans could generate an astonishing $400 million in a single calendar year. And most importantly, retain absolute ownership of every single penny of it. When Master P decided to launch No Limit Records, he didn't fly to New York or Los Angeles to beg for a record deal from executives who didn't understand his culture. Instead, he opened a small, independent record store in Richmond, California, painstakingly learned the granular retail mechanics of the music business, and then brought that priceless knowledge back to the South to build his own machine. Master P's business model was revolutionary and completely disruptive. He treated his record label like a high-volume, low-overhead manufacturing plant. He notoriously retained 100% ownership of his master recordings and struck a groundbreaking distribution deal with Priority Records that allowed him to keep 85% of his record sales, a template of leverage that Birdman would later adopt for his own success. But Master P didn't stop at music. He understood that wealth must be widely diversified to survive economic downturns. His holdings quickly and aggressively expanded across a staggering array of different industries. He moved heavily into real estate, buying up valuable commercial and residential properties. He launched Uncle P's, a massive food empire purposefully designed to replace mainstream corporate brands with high-quality, black-owned alternatives on grocery store shelves across America. He poured significant capital into lucrative technology investments and quietly built a vast, untouchable catalog of endless intellectual property royalties. Master P didn't just beat the astronomical odds stacked against him. He completely obliterated them. He famously turned a tank, the iconic, heavily armored logo of No Limit Records, into an ironclad multi-generational trust fund. He is the absolute godfather of Southern financial independence, a man who taught an entire generation of entrepreneurs that you don't need a corporate sponsor to become a corporate titan. Number 1. Tyler Perry, the billionaire magnate. We have finally reached the absolute summit of the Louisiana wealth hierarchy. The incredible men before him built massive empires, but the man at the number 1 spot built his own sovereign, fully autonomous universe. Tyler Perry is a true, undeniable self-made magnate from New Orleans who exemplifies extraordinary, unprecedented financial achievement. While he currently operates his massive, sprawling headquarters out of Atlanta, Perry's deep roots and foundational struggles are permanently tied to the soil of Louisiana. and he maintains strong, ongoing connections and valuable properties within his home state. With an estimated net worth officially recognized by financial analysts at a staggering $1 billion, Tyler Perry is not just wealthy. He is a fully autonomous economic powerhouse capable of moving entire markets. Perry's ascent to the ultra-exclusive billionaire class is a narrative of agonizing, relentless resilience. He faced a harrowing, profoundly difficult childhood marked by extreme poverty and abuse on the streets of New Orleans. Despite the setback of not finishing high school, his foray into the world of entertainment began with a simple, deeply personal stage play. He spent his entire life savings to stage it, and initially, it was a colossal financial failure. He spent many nights sleeping in his car, refusing to abandon his singular vision. Through sheer, unrelenting determination, he hit the grueling Chitlin circuit, building an incredibly loyal, massive grassroots audience that the mainstream Hollywood establishment completely ignored and severely underestimated. Perry didn't just write scripts. He became a highly prolific playwright, a visionary director, a bankable actor, and ultimately, the uncompromising CEO of Tyler Perry Studios. When Hollywood flatly refused to finance his films or distribute his television shows on equitable terms, Perry weaponized his massive, dedicated audience. He struck unprecedented, incredibly lucrative syndication deals, completely funding his own projects and retaining 100% ownership of his valuable content. He owns the original scripts, he owns the iconic characters, he owns the negative rights, and he completely owns the broadcast leverage. This absolute, unyielding control led to the creation of a staggering, industry-disrupting studio empire. Tyler Perry Studios sits majestically on a 330-acre former military base, a physical production facility larger than the legendary lots of Warner Brothers, Paramount, and Walt Disney combined. By owning the physical infrastructure of production, Perry ensures that every single time a camera rolls, the profits flow directly into his family office, bypassing the studio system entirely. He holds significant, highly lucrative stakes in major media ventures, constantly expanding his unparalleled reach across streaming, television, and film. Tyler Perry's astonishing story is a powerful, undeniable reminder of what absolute focused determination can achieve. He successfully bypassed the traditional gatekeepers of media by simply buying the gate and the immense plot of land it sits on. He is the ultimate realization of the Louisiana entrepreneurial spirit, a resilient billionaire who rose from the hardest streets of New Orleans to become the richest, most powerful black man to ever call the state home. They built their fortunes by demanding ownership, controlling their narratives, and outsmarting systems designed to keep them out. Which of these moguls' strategies shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments below. Subscribe to Black Status and like this video. We'll see you next time.